Welcome to the Wakefield 300, a 300-kilometre endurance race around the 2.2-kilometre Wakefield Park. Today there's an exciting lineup of up to 80 drives, around 137 laps. Well, with me now is Bruce Robinson, the chairman of Wakefield. There's a huge range of cars out there. Talk us through some of the categories.
Really interesting field. It's really quite exciting in that we're able to bring together a diverse range of cars which can compete in the one long distance race. To get a field of, say, one specific type of car to be able to do this is very difficult, but it's really quite a mixed bag out there, and that's what adds a lot to the fun.
And also with the standard of drivers, you've got semi-professional, but you've also got some first-timers. What does it take to compete in the Wakefield 300?
The main thing is just to keep a cool head. The event is not won or lost in one or two corners or one or two demon moves on another car. It really is a case of using your head and using your head sensibly.
Who's your money on today?
Oh, look, it's a very difficult one to pick. The future races, the little motorcycle-powered cars are very competitive and, in fact, have won 2 in the last 3. So while they could be there, the wet weather, though, has very much changed the picture. There's a couple of cars that if it dries out, those cars will be significantly quicker than the rest of the field. It's very much tactics in fuel usage and speed.
Great, thank you, Bruce. Rick, you're not new to the Wakefield circuit. What experience do you bring here?
Well, this is a third time off pole in Steve Angelo's RX-7, which he's just put a V8 engine into, so it's a pretty quick car. But we've had some reliability problems in the past years, and hopefully today we'll bring it home.
Is 300 kilometres a breeze for you? You're used to doing the Nürburgring.
Yeah, Nürburgring's a different game, 24 hours, but here it's a shorter race. Really, it's a sprint race, but the weather conditions today are going to dictate who's going to be at the finish line first and who's going to get that trophy at the end.
We made the top 10 shootout yesterday, and we actually had it on pole right up until the last guy went out with the Angelo, the little Mazda with a LS Chev engine in it. So we're the second quickest, so we've got it on the front row of the grid anyway. So that's really exciting.
Fantastic. And what do you think you can do today to improve your speed?
The weather's going to play a real big part today. We don't know whether to go full wets or semi-slicks or whether it's going to have a dry line out there. But everyone's in the same boat, so we'll just have to make sure we make the right choice there. That can really lose or win the race for everybody. But yeah, we're pretty confident. We're just going to get to the finish and just go as hard as we can. So I'll do the first stint, then Ross will do the second stint, and I'll just get as far ahead as I possibly can and give Ross a bit of a chance.
We have a new generation engine. Ford 9-inch diff, it's got big brakes, it's got everything that makes it run fast. Our biggest challenge, of course, is getting around corners.
It's going to be pretty treacherous. There's a fair bit of power. It's about 450 horse at the wheels, and out of an L98 late model, put a bit of late model technology into an old car.
It's got V8 supercar injection and Halitech, and it makes about 550 horsepower. So it's going to be a lot of fun in the wet today. We'll be slipping around slow. We're not able to get much power down, but the good thing is we'll be using less fuel now, so we're actually going to have to do nearly 3 stops. So we'll cut it back probably down to 2 now, which is fantastic.
We've also got a 5-speed gearbox, new 9-inch diff. So yeah, it's a nice retro car and looks the goods.
We would have spent in the last couple of years more than $150,000 preparing this car, not just for this race, but preparing a car to sort of do what we like it to do.
Oh, can you believe it? An A9X in the field. Grant Boyden and Justin Coombs-Pearce here today to do commentary on the Wakefield 300. I'm excited. It's the first car I ever owned at Tirana.
I just love the fact that we get to do an endurance race like this, because endurance racing is such a big part of the Australian motorsport industry, and this Wakefield race is just absolutely sensational. Look at the wet track.
And it has grown, the Wakefield 300, a great place for drivers to come out and learn their craft and understand endurance racing, and this is a beautiful format. Race perfect in distance, and of course you've got people like we saw in the introductions, like Rick Shaw from Shaw Performance Centres, that is absolutely out there with one goal in mind, and that is to take it out. Let's take a look at our grid.
Stephen Anslow in position 1 at the moment, Hayden Pullen in second, and David Raditz in position number 3.
And right up and down the field, we've got Mazda MX-5s, RX-7s, as we said, the A9X Tirana. Looking forward to that, and the future races that have been very, very strong in the Wakefield 300 in the past, and they should be strong here today as well, particularly in these wet conditions. Now, Justin, this is a circuit that I've actually driven a Formula 3 around many, many times. It's a hard place to get right, and especially in the wet.
Well, it's 300 kilometres the race, obviously. It's only a 2.2 kilometre circuit, so they're going to do 137 laps, which is, it's a big race.
The 25 racer from the Monaro Performance Centre, Hayden Pullen on board. He'll start on the front row. It's a rolling start here for the Wakefield 300. You can see they line up side by side now. They'll all branch into exactly that formation. Lights out on the safety car. So they're about to be released. The Wakefield 300 just about to get underway. A couple of drivers trying to get temperature into their tyres. That's optimistic. Through the final turn comes your pole sitter. Steve Anslow did a great job in the top 10 and in qualifying for that matter, and certainly going to be the man to beat. Through the final turn comes this massive field. Fantastic to see so many cars turning out. Just shy of 40 here today. Gives you an idea of how popular this event has become. Waiting for the green flag, the indication that they are away. Light goes on and we are underway. The Wakefield 300 in very tricky conditions is now set sights on 300 kilometres of action, and it's the Mazda that's going to lead them through turn 1. Out into the boondocks he goes. Pullen goes straight to the lead in the Monaro, but it's going to be short-lived.
Well, plenty of water on the track at the moment too. Hopefully they can get a few laps in there. There's no rain out there at the moment. We might be able to dry it up a little bit, but here we go.
David had a big look up the outside as they went up towards turn 2. Pullen did a great job to hold that down. You can see the Monaro dancing all over the circuit. Now he goes past, picks up the race lead. Was always going to be nimble in the lighter car. Down through the hook they go, and the number 2 machine, the Mazda MX-5, is not only leading, but is starting to pull away from the Monaro.
Tactics and fuel and speed is what these guys will be looking at all throughout this race. Fuel and speed, and of course having a look at some of the different sizes in motors, from 1 litres all the way to 6 litre motors. There's some difference in these cars.
And planning your pit stop is going to be absolutely vital in this one.
On board now with David Raditz.
2 Raditz cars out there in the field this weekend. David leading this race. There's one of the future races. Oh, the 32 car off into the gravel trap. Manages to keep it going. Oh, they did a very good job. Oh, pull it up! Well, he did a good job right up until he hit the tyre wall. But he had the right attitude, and once you, in conditions like this, when it's been raining, the sand traps will give you a little bit of an opportunity to push through. You don't want to get bogged, obviously. If you do, you're out of the race. So he did the right thing. It was only a light touch into the tyre wall, so he should be able to continue on. The Donut King Monaro,
ooh,
very tail happy. A lot of standing water out on the track at the moment. You can see there's been some heavy downpouls in the lead up to this. There's the Monaro. Moses, well, he's not walking on water this time round. He's actually dancing across the top of it. Go the Tirana. Is that too biased?
Just a little, maybe.
$100,000, as you heard, they've invested in that car.
It's big money, isn't it, for a car that probably cost about $8,000 when it was bought?
Well, it's a piece of Australian motorsport history too, you know. It was funny just looking at one of the future races out there on the circuit as we see an overtaking manoeuvre, the 306 car up the inside, Black gets another position up. When I was looking at the future races, of course, when the category first came to Australia, Ross Palmer and Peter Brock were heavily involved, as Chambers has an off in the Mini, and brought back memories of, you know, motorsport legend Peter Brock, and of course he was phenomenal in the Tirana at Mount Panorama.
Well, we're seeing a few cars off the track at the moment there, Boydo.
Yeah, well, that's to be expected. There's the Belling and Sparks HQ. It's just been put down a lap by our race leader, who's really just relishing these conditions at the moment. We're on board with him. Gee, even in the wet conditions, he's carrying the throttle late down through the kink, isn't he? Obviously has a great understanding of how much he has underneath him in the Mazda MX-5.
Still a big race ahead of us, though, being an enduro. The weather conditions can change and can make a lot of difference to the results at the end of the day.
I don't think he'll be the only car going off the track this weekend. James Flanagan just about to be lapped by the looks of things. There goes the 2 car. The MX-5 looking up the inside. Oh. Look at this. Oh, see, this is a difficult thing. David Raditz has made his way through right around to start lapping competitors who are involved in battles of their own. He needs to pick his overtaking very, very strategically, and he did a very good job of it that time round, because a lot of them wouldn't know that they're being overtaken by the leader. James Flanagan was one of those cars overtaken, and this is why.
Oh yeah, leaving the track here.
That was at the final turn, and we saw him make his way through the sand trap, and he just clipped the tyre wall. Let's see what it was like on board. Now, that was a pretty soft glance. Obviously no major panel damage to the car. I suppose the only question, Justin, is the steering bent. We'll find out as this race continues.
Oh, absolutely. It just depends how hard that left front rear tyre would have hit that wall. But by the looks of it, he just seemed to graze it.
The MX-5 with the Goldie number plates on is your race leader. And, gee, it's rounding up a few cars out there. Hayden Pullen coming onto the start-finish straight in the Monaro. These conditions do not suit this car. The back of it's dancing around, almost like a rally car.
It's a great shot. You can see the power of this car.
He's good under brakes, though, even in these wet conditions. You didn't hear the wheels lock up at any stage, so there's very cautious under braking, which you'd need to be. There is your race score coming up on screen at the moment as the Donut King car tries to get back to the front of this field.
Another position back.
Over the top of the hill. Very tricky part of the circuit here. It's off camber. You tend to want to run that ripple strip, but if you do, it can launch you out into the paddock coming down towards the hook. And a bumpy part of the circuit here too, especially when you've got 3 cars all battling for positions further back down through the field. Around the outside goes Pullen. Very difficult there because there's not a great deal of traction out there, particularly in the wet. He controlled that well.
Track doesn't look like it's drying too much at the moment, so it looks like a bit of moisture out there. Here we go.
Hang on to it. That's what the race leader did not want to see. A car getting all lost and out of control right in front of him. Just centimetres off the ground. Listen to this. They still sound good, don't they? Let's go down and catch up with one of the competitors who should be tough out there this year, the defending champion, Nathan Jess.
Nathan, you're the reigning champion. You must know all the tricks under the book.
Well, it's a bit different this year. We've got some big cars out there. We're only a 1 litre engine, but I'll tell you what, we're still out there with a shot, so we're looking forward to having a good finish. Matt's out there now doing a top job. So a good co-driver, we're in it. We're in it this right now.
And the Mazdas are giving you a run for your money?
Yeah, they are a little bit quick, but hey, it's still a small engine, still having a go. So we're mixing it up with them, which is great. So.
The 3rd year in the 300, and you've got a new co-driver, Matthew Thompson. How's he doing out there?
Yeah, really well. He's come up this week. He's driven the cars before. He's within half a second of my time, so you can't ask for much more with a co-driver. So it's really great.
Will you be pleased with the top 10?
Oh yeah, we'll be there. Don't worry about that. Definitely.
Yeah, fantastic. And fantastic to see so many different makes and models out there, each with different performance, characteristics. It really makes great racing.
Oh, definitely. And throw in the changing weather conditions and the length of the race. We're just in for an absolute treat.
We're on board with Frank Doniau on the 206 car. You saw him manage to get past one of the future racers who seemed to take it just a little bit personally and fights back coming down the straight, but he's pretty good under brakes. There's Nicholas Chambers in the 152 Mini being rounded up by the Donut King.